Hello and a very good afternoon. You're watching News 9 Digital. Thank you for joining me on this Facebook Live. Today we're going to talk about a topic that has worried several people across the world. We've seen a few cases of reinfection of coronavirus. On one hand, the number of coronavirus cases have been increasing. On the other hand, we also have a few cases of reinfection, which means a patient who has already tested for coronavirus and has even recovered gets the infection yet again. So this, of course, caused some concern and alarm in the medical field as well as for people at large as well, because does that mean that we are never going to be immune to coronavirus even after we perhaps get infected by it and survive? Will there be a chance that perhaps yet again we could get the virus? These are the kind of fears. More importantly, this also led to the fears of the efficacy of a vaccine. If a person has survived COVID-19 or has fought COVID-19, that means that the immune response has been formed in the body. Then how is it that yet again the same person can get reinfected? Does that mean that even after taking a vaccine, there's a possibility that we could get coronavirus? These are the kind of fears that have been raised by many, and to address these fears, firstly, to give you the good news, no, vaccines are going to be a lot more effective, much more effective than the infection itself. So if you get the vaccine and it gets the approval, it means that it's going to be the answer to coronavirus. We don't have to worry about the efficacy of the vaccine as such if it gets a nod. To talk to us more about it, an expert also joins me live. Dr. Chandrasekhar, immunologist, joins me. Many thanks for joining me, Dr. Chandrasekhar. This is the fear that many have expressed, that if there can be a case of reinfection from SARS-CoV-2, does that mean that the vaccine is also not going to be effective enough? But would you say it works differently for a vaccine?
No, I mean, I think let me first allay the fear. What is this reinfection about, actually? See, the reinfection occurs in a very small proportion of patients. It's not that everyone who gets a COVID infection has got a reinfection. The reinfection proportion so far we have reported is very small. I can say it's around 1 out of 50,000, 1 out of 20,000 or 60,000. That's what the rating we have. And also we don't have a reasonable good data to say that how many who are totally recovered have come back. They have reported stray reports of 1 or 2, 3 cases having a reinfection. I mean, that should not put us into fear. See, any infection, some individuals may not develop resistance for lifetime. So if you even take a simple typhoid fever, you might have seen patients come out of typhoid fever after 2 years, he gets back again with a typhoid fever.
But these are very rare occurrences.
So the reinfection is something which is seen and it is individual. So it's not the property of the virus, it is the individual's host response, how safely he has mounted an immune response. And regarding vaccine, usually when we design a vaccine, we try to design a vaccine which is respond to at least a good proportion of patients. Okay, say when I vaccinated, which when we get a license, at least a expected target proportion of patients should get some resistance. So otherwise we don't approve that vaccine because we say it is ineffective if it is not crossing that cutoff line. It differs from disease to disease. Some, even with a 50-60% efficacy, we approve. In some, we expect around 95% efficacy. And none of them are 100% effective. The reason is, see, it is the individual difference. The way I respond to a virus, not the way you are going to respond to the virus, not the way another third person in the home will respond to the virus. How best I respond to the virus and how well I develop a memory for the virus makes me resistant to not to get a second infection. So the fear that they have described 1 or 2 reinfection, I may also get a reinfection is not correct. So the chance of one fellow getting or a person getting a infection, getting a reinfection is less, but we still insist that even though one person recovers out of the virus infection, it is preferable he takes all the precautions that is expected to be taken by another person who have been never infected. This is given for 2 reasons. One is, there is a possibility of even if it is 10% of reinfection, 10% is also a risk. See, what I say is, when you have an alcohol, you may meet an accident. What we meant is, even if it is 5% at a low 30 ml, at 30 ml, 5% doesn't mean you take 30 ml and drive the vehicle. So we say that no alcohol, no driving, even if it is 30 ml. The reason is, It is highly individual because there is an individual variation in the response.
Okay, Doctor, I just want to point out what happened with the Oxford trials as well. It's considered the front runner in the vaccine fight, but because there was one case where one of the respondents had another reaction which was not expected, it was halted across the world. So that was the kind of fear that it had. So in this case as well, just in case there are fears that the vaccine might not work, is that the same that's going to happen?
No. See, not all the vaccines are same. There are different way the vaccines are prepared. And even what happened in the Oxford vaccine is that there was one or two stray adverse events.
Yeah.
But when we are doing some experiment or a trial on humans, we will be extremely alert. The rule is that not to cause harm.
Okay.
So that's why they held back, reviewed the whole thing. How is it related? What is the problem? And you as you know that they have given a go-ahead signal again.
Yeah.
Because after reviewing through that, it was considered it's not a serious adverse event, which should ask the trial to stop.
Okay.
See, it's a safety process that is done. See, we can't experiment recklessly on a human.
True.
So even if we get a small bad signal, we relook at it. That should we really continue it? But I think they relooked at it and they found that it's not a major issue, and that's how they got a green signal to continue with the vaccine. See, when we are working on any of the medicine or any of the vaccine, we may always hit. It's not that everything hit the jackpot. We may hit a wall where we may have to stop that and switch to the different one. Good thing in the corona, because of the pandemic, I think we have quite a good number of variations in the vaccine. So out of this, at least 5-10 will be successful. I mean, that's good. So that's why there is a good hope that we will get a vaccine.
All right, that's very heartening to know. But Doctor, one more thing I wanted to ask is, for the vaccines to be effective against coronavirus, experts have said that it needs to have a T-cell response in people, which is a memory cell. But, we have seen so many mutations of the coronavirus as well. And we know very little about this particular virus as well. And I think this has been the biggest challenge as well for the vaccinators, for the vaccine to be made against coronavirus as well. The fact that it has so many mutations that, it could be difficult to say that one vaccine would fit all. What if there is another mutation of coronavirus that the vaccine will not be effective against? So what would you say to that in this, race to get the vaccines? Would these concerns also be addressed?
For the medical research community, this is not a new challenge actually.
Okay.
See, if you remember our old influenza, good old influenza, it keeps mutating and changing its antigen every now and then. And that's why every year a research is done, we figure out what is the mutation and a new vaccine develops according to that.
Okay.
So probably that may be the course what the corona vaccine may take over a period of time. So see that the virus having a high mutation chance, it can change the shape and it may challenge the immune system again.
Okay.
See, because immune system remembers a virus based on the pattern or whatever the surface pattern it has.
Okay.
And once it changes the pattern, it is forced to forget that, not to give a response on that because the pattern has changed. So what as a scientific community, research community will do is we figure out those changes and quickly change the vaccine strategy. The vaccine strategy, because the molecular biology and protein biology has so significantly improved in the last couple of years and last couple of decades. You name it, the proteins can be synthesized. If you recollect, the vaccine production of old vaccines, it took years to think about it. We had corona infection known from November or even earlier, and you have already vaccine trials happening in 6 months to 9 months.
Yes.
That's the speed in which things work. It's not one vaccine. You have 40, 60 different type of vaccines. So science is far advanced. I think that mutation is not going to be a challenge. It will be addressed. But that's a concern. That makes us unlike smallpox, I can't eliminate it completely. You know the story of smallpox. We have completely eliminated smallpox from the world. We know the story of polio. We were able to completely control the polio because they don't change the shape. But the here is it keeps changing the shape, so that's a challenge. I think research community will address it over a period of time.
So it's a challenge, but that's something that can be overcome. All right, so Dr. Chandrasekhar, thank you very much for joining us with your expertise on the subject. So that I hope has addressed some of the concerns that many have had. This has been a concern that many have expressed as well. On one hand, for the vaccines, whether it will be effective or not because of so many mutations of coronavirus, that was one of the challenges that had been spoken of. That will be addressed, as the doctor just told us. Apart from that, the worries because of the reinfection occurring in a few patients. Firstly, of course, this is a very rare occurrence. It has happened very rarely in very few cases. So that's not something to worry about. Plus, vaccines are going to be a lot more effective. So we can rest assured that even if there's a bit of a delay in the vaccines to come out, when it finally does come, it's going to be extremely effective against coronavirus. And that perhaps would be the end of the pandemic as we know it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Do let me know in the comments as well of what you think when the vaccines are going to come out and how you're taking precautions against coronavirus. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.